scoring a heart to the net, and he's a guy who could score.
We start the game with taking a penalty, and it kind of puts us on our heels a little bit. And just bottom line, I think all of us have to be better, starting with me. It's going to hurt for a couple hours, and then you start preparing for next one instead. We'll go back to New York and regroup here a little bit, and then try to come back with a better performance.
By Rene Bourque. This is the guy who disappears for games at a time, but man, when he appears, does he ever appear?
It's always amazing. You come to these elimination games, you expect the dormant guys, the dormant stars. Maybe a Thomas Vanek shows up on this ice surface and emerges, but it's Rene Bourque. Rene Bourque, the same guy who got 9 goals in the regular season, has 8 after this hat trick in the postseason. And it's the same Rene Bourque that Bergevin was shopping at length through the regular season, trying to trade him because he was underperforming. It's amazing what can happen when you get these guys out there and when depth shines through. And this is one of the reasons why, coming to the end of this game, why Montreal Canadiens won.
Dan Girardi called it a gong show for the New York Rangers, this performance. Were there any positives out of it?
Well, you got to at least make a footnote mention of Derek Stepan. To be able to come back from a broken jaw surgery, come back into the lineup, score a pair of goals, that gets lost in the fact that the New York Rangers played as poorly as they did and the fact that they lost their hockey game. But that's great playoff lore right there. Broken jaw, surgery, 2 goals in the Stanley Cup playoff game.
Kreider's 4 points and not a lot of minutes, also lost in the Montreal victory. Alain Vigneault said he never really considered putting Henrik Lundqvist back in after the Rangers made their big comeback. Would you have considered it?
I don't know. The whole situation was so unorthodox. I mean, he didn't get pulled after the first goal, which is a bad goal. Bourque's short side, and a goal that you don't expect out of Lundqvist. So he waits a little bit, pulls him, and then he sits down the hallway and he disappears, and in comes Talbot. I think at the end of the period, I would have considered putting him back in, because there's one thing about playing in these games. There's a psychological edge or a psychological victory that goes with chasing that goalie. And you know, this is a new guy. This is fresh meat. This is a guy that doesn't have a whole lot of experience. And we look at the goals went in on Talbot. Had you put Lundqvist in, would those saves be made? Would it be a closer game? I would hesitate to say yes.
I think they were a little concerned that maybe once Henrik Lundqvist got pulled, he'd mentally checked out, that he wasn't prepared to come back in.
He would have matched everybody else in his team.
Well, I'll tell you what, and the other thing, though, to your point, is that they didn't get the saves from Talbot when they really needed them.
Well, Marty Biron, who knows Henrik Lundqvist very well, his backup for several years, said the exact same thing, that once Lundqvist is out, he's already looking forward to the next game. How do the Rangers regroup here? We know there's no real momentum game to game, and now they're going back home, and they still have two chances to clinch. But after a disaster like this...
Well, it was a bit of a gong show, to use Dan Girardi's words. And, I mean, you've got to look at the John Moore situation, potential suspension there. You've got to wonder if Derek Dorsett, that final shift of the game when he was using his head as a battering ram on Mike Weaver in front of the net and all those shenanigans. And it was just a case where the New York Rangers, who've been calm, cool, composed, that's been their hallmark and their calling card in these playoffs. And it was anything but here in Game 5. And they said all the right things after the game. We're going to wipe the slate clean. We're going to get back to New York for Game 6. We're going to get back to our disciplined style. But boy, oh boy, was that an uncharacteristic gong show of a loss for the New York Rangers.
They usually follow their goaltender, though. And Lundqvist, the last time he was pulled was in Game 6 against Philadelphia. And what does he do in Game 7? Allows just 1 goal on 27 shots in a brilliant performance. As the Rangers move on, he'll have a chance to do the same in Game 6.